welcome, Tress.
I'll do it tomorrow. The wonderful thing about tomorrow is that it's never today. It's always tomorrow. I'm going to share with you two things today. First one is why we procrastinate. And the second one is what you can do to reduce or even eliminate procrastination. Let's look at why we procrastinate. Why do we procrastinate? Why do we do something later if we should do it now? Well, the simplest reason as far as why we procrastinate is because we can. If you can put something off, you will. How are we motivated? We're motivated by pain and pleasure, more so by pain than pleasure. Which means if the pain of doing something right now is greater than the pain of doing it later, we're going to push it off and we're going to do it tomorrow. It's human nature. Why do we get up when we don't want to? Get in our cars and drive through traffic we don't want to be in. Go to work and sit in a desk we don't want to sit in. And take orders from a boss we don't want to listen to. Because the pain of doing all of that is greater than the pain of being jobless. Because if you don't have a job, eventually you run out of money, and that means you'll be on the streets. That pain is far greater than doing all those other things to work. Now, since we need to add in pain to have us do things, instead of the word pain, I'm going to use motivation. So we need to add in motivation to keep us from procrastinating. The motivation is what lets us do something today as opposed to pushing it off until tomorrow. I want everyone here to pretend you're in your bed, you're wrapped up in the covers, you're warm, you're sleeping. Outside, it's 5 degrees. You hear your alarm go off. Beep, 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 beep. You swat at it a couple of times. Eventually you connect with it and you turn it off. Crack the window, you see it's snowing outside, there's snow all over the ground, it's freezing cold, you can feel the coldness coming through the window hitting your hand. There's ice all over, there's ice cemented to the windows of your car which you will have to scrape off. You have to be at work in 1 hour. Who gets up and still goes to work through all of this? Not one person. One person gets up. Most of us would get up to go to work in that situation. Because we know if we don't, we're going to be fired, or we could be fired. Now what happens if the day before, you just won $100 million? Who's getting up for work then? No one. What happened was the motivation to go to work was up here because you had your job at stake. Now when you win $100 million, it drops down to here. There really is no motivation to go to work because you don't need the money. The second thing I'm going to share with you is what we can do to reduce or eliminate procrastination. Reduce or eliminate procrastination. First, we need to add in motivation. Motivation is going to get us to do something. Now, the two best ways I found to add motivation is you have to set a deadline with a consequence, and you have to have someone to hold you accountable. A deadline with a consequence and someone to hold you accountable. Now, sometimes we're lucky enough to be given the deadline with the consequence, and someone holds us accountable. Let's look back when we were in school. You're given a paper to write, those big term papers, and you've got a month to write it. It's assigned today. You have 1 month out. Well, what do? I don't need to work on it today. I can do it tomorrow. There's no reason to do it. The motivation is way down here. Well, then you say, well, the second day comes, I don't need to do it today. I've still got 28 more days. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And you keep saying that until eventually the paper is almost due. And the closer it comes to the due date of the paper, the higher the motivation gets. And then it comes The day before the paper is due, there is no tomorrow. Now the pain of not having that paper, which means you could fail the class, the motivation's up here. And what do? Everything else stops, you focus on that paper. You pull an all-nighter. And what happens? The printer jams. You have to go to Kinko's and have your paper printed. But you get it done because the motivation is up there, so you want to get that done. Now, other times, we have to set our own deadline with a consequence and have someone else hold us accountable. Here's an example of what you can do. Say you want to clean your house. It's hard to do because there's maybe a mess here, a mess there, and you want to clean the whole house, you still don't have time to do it. Well, what you can do to motivate yourself to clean your house, to keep from procrastinating, set a deadline with a consequence and have someone to hold you accountable. So the deadline you can set, I want to have my house cleaned by next Saturday. By next Saturday, I want to have my house cleaned. So what you could do is you could have a party Saturday night. And the consequence for not hitting your deadline is your friends are going to come over and they're going to see your house and think it's sloppy. Who wants their friends to come over and see their house and think it's sloppy or messy? So what's going to happen? You're going to put it off, and you're going to put it off, then Friday's going to come. You think, oh no, my friends are coming over Saturday night, I'm going to start cleaning. Then you're going to wake up Saturday morning and think, my friends are coming over tonight. I have to clean my house. And you're going to clean your house. So you set a deadline. The consequence was your friends seeing your house messy. And the person who holds you accountable, or the people, were your friends. Think back to a time in your life when you procrastinated with something. You put something off, you put something off. Chances are you did it because you didn't have the deadline with the consequence and someone to hold you accountable. It's important to have someone hold you accountable because if you don't have another person holding you accountable, it's very easy to put it off. What would happen if you wanted your house cleaned by Saturday but your friends weren't coming over? Well, I'll do it later. There's no reason to do it right now. Just think the next time you want to do something. If you really want to do it, say, I don't want to procrastinate. I have this habit of procrastinating. I don't want to do it. Set a deadline with a consequence. And have someone who can hold you accountable if you don't hit that deadline. That will keep you from procrastinating. That will put in the motivation. Now I'll share with you two things: why we procrastinate and what you can do to reduce or even eliminate